Welcome back. If this is the first video you're watching, I would encourage you to go back and watch the introduction to this Bible study series. Unless you were there in person, obviously, then carry on right away. For anyone who is unfamiliar with the channel or with the church, I am Josh Laborious. I'm the senior pastor here at Hope Lutheran Church in Friendswood, Texas. And this is video number 2. This is the first non-introductory content video in our summer Bible study series, our summer Bible class series, The Extras, using our stories, sharing God's story through our stories. And each of these videos, each of these classes is going to revolve around a common question or a common topic that we might come across and might give us an excuse, might give us an opportunity to talk about our faith, to share our faith with other people. So we're going to get right into it. As if you didn't watch the first video, or even if you did, here's a reminder. There are going to be opportunities here for you to talk through something or to practice. And this is why I say, like, even though these videos are here, I would encourage you as much as possible to be, if you can, be there in person. Because then you get to practice with other people and you can receive feedback from that. But even if you were watching these videos or listening to these videos by yourself, I would encourage you, pause the video when instructed to do so and take the opportunity to think through your responses or talk through your responses. And if you're watching this video with someone else, that's perfect. Pause the video, talk through it with them, okay? So for this very first content piece, the opening question for this is just, why are you a fan of your favorite sports team or your favorite movie? Take 90 seconds, take 2 minutes to talk through, like, this is my favorite sports team and this is why. You can go ahead and pause the video and then we'll continue. Just to kind of give you an example, my favorite sports team is the Nashville Predators. The reason my favorite sports team is the Nashville Predators is because when I was in college, I went to college in Nashville. That's where the Nashville Predators play. And my brother Caleb came to visit. I think he stayed the night with me in the dorms one night. And in the evening, there was a student rush night. So I got discounted tickets to a Nashville Predators game. And took Caleb, we watched the game. I don't remember who won. I don't remember much about the game other than there was blood on the ice. They tried to clean it up too fast, and it was a hot mess. It took them a very long time to clean up the ice. Anyway, what I found out afterward is that apparently that game meant a fair bit to my brother. And ever since then, Caleb and I have been Predators fans. And even though we don't live in the same state anymore, we still, we're watching the games, we talk about the games, we talk about the happenings with the team. And that's why I'm a Preds fan, because I'm a Preds fan with my brother. That's why you're never going to convert me. I'm a Preds fan forever. So that opening question kind of leads us into our excuse, our opportunity, our topic for the day, and that is why you believe. Why do you believe in Christianity? Now, there are a lot of different reasons, a lot of different answers to that question. I would imagine that almost everyone watching this video has a slightly different answer to that question. Why do you believe? And I want to just start by saying that one answer is not necessarily better or worse than another. And I want to reassure you of that. Now we're going to jump into a Bible story. A story of someone coming to faith, of why they believed and the impact that had on others. And this comes from John 4. I'm not going to read John 4. If you want, you can go and you can look at the biblical text. It's John 4, verses 1 through 45. And that's the text. I'm not going to read you the text, though. I just want to tell you the story that the text tells you. And when I say story, I mean because it's a narrative. I don't mean to say that this isn't a historical book. This really happened. This is a historical story about Jesus and a woman in Samaria. Jesus and his disciples, they're traveling. And they go through Samaria, and a little bit of background if you didn't know. Uh, in those days, Jews and Samaritans did not get along. Uh, Neither group was a really big fan of the other one, and they avoided each other when possible. So they stop at a town in Samaria, and Jesus' disciples go. They go to take care of something, and hangs back, and he's sitting around a well, and a woman comes out of town to fill up to get water from the well, and he asks her for a drink, and she's a little perplexed. She's like, this guy's waiting at a well, he wants a drink, but he doesn't have anything to gather the water with, and she gets into this conversation with him where he starts to make claims that in hindsight we realize he's making pretty big claims about who he is. He is living water, he is the water of life, and whoever drinks from him will never be thirsty again. And when she starts hearing these things, she's like, well, I would like some. I would like to never be thirsty again. That I wouldn't have to come out here anymore. That would be pretty convenient for me. And Jesus' response is a bit of an interesting one. He says, okay, but first go get your husband and bring your husband. And she's like, oh, I don't have a husband. And he says, oh, yeah, you're right. You don't have a husband. In fact, you've had several husbands, and the person you're with now is not one of them. He's not your husband. And the woman the tone of the conversation changes because she says this, sir, I perceive that you're a prophet. And they have this conversation about truth and about worship. And when they're done there, the woman goes back into the town and starts telling people about her experience at the well. She starts telling people why she believes in Jesus. And this is what verse 39 says. Many Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. He told me all that I ever did. People were persuaded by her experience. She didn't have a perfectly constructed argument. She didn't have all the right facts to share. She told them why she believed. And they came to faith. So when we come across this question, why do you believe? What's our response? Now, I have to tell you, for a long time, I felt, bad might not be the best way to describe it. I felt lame. I felt maybe a little insufficient about my own faith. Sorry, a little bit of a camera glitch there. So for a long time, I felt kind of bad about my faith story. And the reason for that is it's not an exciting one. Pastor Josh, why do you come to faith? Well, my parents were Christians and they raised me in the faith, and I'm still in the faith. And I believe what they taught me from childhood, I believe it to be true. That's not a big glamorous story. I don't have some life-changing experience. I didn't hit some rock bottom that resulted in this conversion. I was raised in the faith. But as I've grown and hopefully matured a little bit, I've realized there's something to be said for that consistency and loyalty. I mean, compare it to someone who's been a sports fan for forever. think back to your story at the beginning of this session. You know, why are you a fan of whatever team you're a fan of? A lot of times, well, my parents were a fan of that team. My family was a fan of that team. Even the story I told earlier about the Nashville Predators, my brother was a fan of that team. Is a fan of that team. There's something compelling about, yeah, my parents were a fan, and I'm a fan, and I've been a fan my whole life, and you should be a fan too while we're at it. Like, there's not some dramatic, like, oh, I'm this fan because of this earth-shattering reason. No, because this is who I'm a fan of. Or the same, if you're at a restaurant, you've been going to this restaurant forever, because you've been going forever. There's something to be said. You've been going to that place for 30 years? Must be pretty good. Must be pretty consistent. Must be worth trying out. There is certainly something to be said to that honest, simple answer. I am a Christian because my parents raised me in this faith, and I still believe it to be true. Now, that second part's important, because you don't want to tell this very simple story in such a way that it comes across that you are just in the faith to make your parents happy, or because you don't want to rock the boat. So you clarify, I was raised in this faith, and I believe it to be true. And you can go on a little bit from that. You could say, and I'm thankful that my parents raised me in the faith because I didn't have to go through hell to get here. But that being said, maybe you do have a more, we'll say, interesting story. Maybe you did hit rock bottom. Maybe you did have a life-changing experience that showed the gospel to you. Maybe you had someone who showed you an unimaginable level of grace, and it brought you to this realization of who Jesus is and the grace that he offers us. And that is convincing as well. That is compelling as well. It's like if you're making a recommendation for a particular strategy for lawn care, or you're making a recommendation for a doctor or a healthcare system or a health thing, and you say, yeah, I did this and this was the change I saw. I started putting this company's chemical down on my lawn, and the grass is great. Everything is filled in. There are no more weeds. There's something compelling about a story, about our personal experience with something. Okay? So whatever your reason is why you are a Christian, whatever brought you to faith, this is good. And we're going to focus especially on why you continue in the faith. So you're not just telling the origin story, you're saying, why are you still there? And everybody's got a different reason for that. Now here's just some notes, and you can maybe remember back to some of our ground rules. Don't embellish your story. Be honest with it. If you make it sound more grand and glorious than it was, that can have the unfortunate side effect of setting these kind of unrealistic expectations for their own conversion or their own experience with the faith. In fact, it might be better off for us to experience, why am I in the faith? Because it is a consistent thing in my life. It is a consistent source of peace and joy. And as you're sharing these reasons, as you're sharing the reasons that you are in the faith, reasons you remain in the faith, reasons you find the faith compelling, highlight especially, tell the whole story, tell the fullness of the story, but highlight ideas that might be transferable, experiences that maybe you pause in your story and you say, like, you might experience something like this as you get closer and closer to God. So this is kind of our background. This is where we're starting. And what I would like you to do now, I'm going to leave you with this, is take a couple moments to reflect. How would you answer the question, why do you believe? and then take some time to share that with another person. And even if you're watching this video by yourself, you're at the end of the video, find someone, grab coffee, sit down for a meal, and share your answer with them. And ask them, is there anything that's compelling? Are there any follow-up questions? How did you tell the story? Use it as a practice opportunity, use it as an opportunity to get some feedback, and be prepared to answer that question as much as you can. Give some thought to it. Why do you believe in Jesus, who is the Christ? Brothers and sisters, go in peace. Serve the Lord. Thanks be to God.